Debuting after last year's International, the first year of the Dota Pro Circuit, or DPC, has given us more professional Dota 2 games than ever before. It has been a wild ride as teams have fought tooth and nail to earn their chance to compete at the International 8. But it was a lot of Dota, and you're not alone if you happen to forget a few things along the way. Well, worry not, for today we're going to take a nice trip down memory lane and catch you up on the entire DPC season and all those great memories. This is the Dpc Rewind. The DPC season kicked off with a bang at StarLadder I-League Season 3 in Kiev. The tournament showed off the power of many post-TI Shuffle teams, but it was the new Mineski, now with Jabs and Ice Ice Ice, who stood out. Many expected recent TI7 winners Liquid to do poorly, as many TI winning teams in the past were affected by the post-TI curse. But it was TI runners-up New B who seemed to be hexed, as they surprisingly dropped out in the group stage, while Liquid proved to be as dominant as ever. Perhaps it was Chuan that said it best: only Ice Frog could stop Liquid. Mineski proved their second-place victory at StarLadder was no fluke. The next stop on the DPC was the PGL Open Bucharest. Undefeated Mineski showed that they could stand toe-to-toe with any team matched up against them, even the now rising Team Secret. The PGL Open was also the debut event for the new LGD Gaming, with the legendary FY at the helm as their captain, and QQQ joining the roster as a temporary stand-in, later becoming their coach. An invincible Mineski took their first minor title, taking them right to the top of the DPC rankings. Next up was Esl One Hamburg, the very first major of the DPC season. With a huge haul of points up for grabs, the big names emerged from the shadows, the biggest of which was Virtus Pro, a hot favorite at TI7 who fell short of glory. VP, however, crushed Esl One Hamburg, with Liquid and New B, the recent TI7 Grand Finalists, only managing to take a single game off VP before succumbing to their brilliance. VP had arrived late to the DPC, but would soon take the bare share of the points. Team Liquid struck back at the Dota Pit Minor in Croatia with a perfect run, taking them straight to the final showdown with VG Gaming. VG had been MIA for about 3 months in a row, but practice behind closed doors certainly paid off, and they came out swinging, destroying the nigh unkillable Virtus Pro. Defeat to Liquid threw VG down to the lower bracket, but they skipped past New B to earn their rematch. VG took the lead 2-0 in the best-of-5 Grand Finals against the TI7 winners, and it looked like it was over. But Liquid staged a phenomenal comeback, winning their last 3 games in little over an hour. Team Liquid bagged their second minors title, climbing to 3rd place on the DPC. But Chinese Dota? We were just getting started. The Perfect World Masters was the first DPC tourney to feature 12 teams, and the home teams, they hit the ground running. By the time the final day rolled around, only the Chinese trio of New B, VG, and LGD Forever Young were left standing. All the other challengers, they'd been wiped out. VG Gaming had looked strong, but the grand finals, it was all New B. After completely controlling the first 2 games, New B crushed all semblance of hope VG had built early on in Game 3. With KP pulling off one of the most exciting Aegis snatches in Dota 2 history.
Blink! Aegis model in the meantime was also snatched out by KP, so Diasite, they get the kill on Roshan, but KP has the Aegis model.
New B, they were sublime. The 3-0 victory in the Grand Finals secured them their first minor title and 4th place on the DPC. After a rough Perfect World Masters playing with an emergency stand-in, Secret were back to their best at Dream League Season 8 in the heart of Sweden. Secret unleashed a unique playstyle they are now infamous for at the tournament, 2-0ing all the best teams in the season thus far, even beating the now back-in-form Team Liquid twice. Secret won games in every way possible, from complete domination with aggressive plays to backdoor rat victories on the back of Lone Druid. The team was, as Fogged put it, simply unstoppable. Secret took the Grand Finals 3-0 against Liquid, a feat no one has done since 2016. The secret was out, and a new powerhouse was born. MDL Macau featured a round-robin group stage, the first of its kind in the season thus far, leading to a goldmine of memorable Dota 2 action. A prime opportunity, however, for up-and-comers to shine. It was the sleeper team OG who dominated the tournament, destroying the group stage, going 6-2, and then dominating the 4-team playoffs without dropping a single game. It was OG's first grand final match in 8 months, but they looked right at home. The surprise of the tournament, however, would be TNC, who managed to 2-0 the giants of Virtus Pro in the minor, a team who many expected to win the whole thing. When OG and TNC showed off their impressive skills at the minor, this would be the only time that we got to see this team in the grand finals for the rest of the season. VP proved that they were still top dogs in spectacular fashion at the Dota Summit 8. The format required that all 3 games be played in the best-of-3 series, and VP didn't hesitate to dispatch both of their group stage opponents 3-0. They even did it without their captain, Solo. VP had called upon Coach Artstyle to step in, and the old bear was more than up to the challenge. VP lost just a single game in that entire tournament. Fnatic, boosted by the recent addition of Abed, reached the grand finals of the event, but a match-winning Ramsey's Broodmother led to VP becoming the first team to win both a minor and a major on the DPC. Point proven, and second place on the DPC easily secured. Next up was Captain's Draft 4, held in the dead of winter in the United States capital of Washington, D.C. Skeptics of the format were silenced after one of the most memorable grand finals of the DPC season. Secret and Beachy Gaming went the full 5 games. With an early 2-1 lead in the finals, Beachy Gaming held a 21,000 gold lead over Team Secret in the 4th game and went for that game-winning racks. But Mid1's all-in buyback started the swing, which would end with Secret taking the game and then the series, showing the world exactly why they were #1 on the DPC rankings. Across the world in Genting, ESL One pitted the world's best against each other in front of a roaring crowd. Upsets were aplenty, but all eyes were on that historic Newbie Liquid matchup. Newbie had never beaten Kuro's Liquid, ever, losing 7 times, drawing twice over a span of 2 brutal years, including 2 internationals. It was a curse that Newbie needed to break, and Newbie did so with Kaka's incredible Naga Siren plays and an explosive performance by Mugi's Ursa. The hard-fought series ended with Newbie winning their first minor, collecting valuable DPC points, but more importantly, letting KP finally get the last word.
We're really happy that we won, and we finally broke the test, so thank you very much.
Next up was Starladder I-League Season 4 in Shanghai, where the rivalry between Newbie and Liquid took a step back to the rise of LGD and Mineski, 2 teams that had been away from the spotlight for far too long. After underperforming in their first 3 events, LGD would debut a new lineup at I-League, adding Chalice and Xnova, earning them an impressive result that would continue for the rest of the DPC season. Making it to the finals against Team Liquid, LGD was able to force the champs to GG after only 18 minutes in Game 2. While LGD fell to Team Liquid in the end, granting Kuro his 1,000th career win, LGD showed promise, and this performance was the beginning of something great. A poor showing in Genting raised concerns that VP may have peaked and could finally be vulnerable. Coming into ESL One Katowice, VP had to show the haters that their reign of terror knew no end. VP started a group stage strong, but the unexpected loss to VG Gaming would lead to a much-anticipated Grand Final rematch. VG had reached the Grand Finals of 3 different minors, but a Dpc title still eluded them. The final to Esl One Katowice was, unfortunately for them, a bad case of deja vu, as they suffered a 3-1 defeat at the hands of Solo and the boys. While Ramses claimed that VP could have gone 3-0 had they planned their lanes better, few could question VG's relentlessness in the series. Many fans around the world were reminded that VG Gaming had a fire that just refused to go out, even if that flame only seemed to burn in second place. Carrying their momentum from ESL Katowice, VP continued to dominate the Dpc, and in the Bucharest Major, it was no exception. VP took the tournament seemingly effortlessly, only losing 1 game to the slowly improving Optic Gaming. But it was VGJ Thunder who shocked many fans around the world with an electric performance at the Major. Besting teams like Secret and New B, Thunder's rise to power may have come late in the season, but this would be the first of many top 2 finishes. And it all began right here in Bucharest. For VP, though, it became more and more apparent that nobody could touch them. The no-contest 3-0 Grand Finals had the team laughing all the way to the top of the Dpc leaderboard, making them the first official team invited to the International 8. In a refreshing twist, GESC Indonesia Minor gave new faces a chance to shine and grab some Dpc points along the way. With only 1 invited team, it was a much-needed change of pace. Evil Geniuses? That was a pretty good invite, as they did not lose a single game in the entire tournament. However, that's not the only story to come out of that tourney. VGJ Thunder continued to improve, showcasing their skills by making it to the finals. Team Infamous became the first ever South American team to claim Dpc points. This would be the first Grand Finals for EG despite attending 8 events. And while they did pick up a win, we would not see them in a Dpc Finals again. VGJ Thunder, however, they were on a roll. Now, it's not embarrassing to admit you might be confused when you're trying to differentiate Dream League Season 8 from Dream League Season 9. Once again, Team Secret, they were victorious, plus Team Secret 2-0'd Liquid in spectacular fashion. You might want to get your head checked out, though, if you forgot the epic return of Team Fnatic during the minor. Relatively inconsequential since their second place finish 3 months prior at the Summit, Fnatic found their form at the minor and were able to knock out heavy hitters New B and Liquid, ultimately faltering in the Grand Finals where Secret were, unfortunately, undeniably superior. Secret was 1 step closer to securing their spot in Vancouver. Now, do you remember a little team called Mineski? It's okay if you don't, after all, we haven't heard from them since the first 2 Dpc tournaments, and those were over 6 months ago. Well, time for us to get reacquainted. The Dota 2 Asia Championships was a massive tournament. All the heavy hitters were there, but it was Mineski and LGD who managed to topple the Giants and stage a Grand Finals that nobody expected. Serious Dpc points were on the line, and the final proved to be one for the history books. LGD played well, but under the guidance of the new coach and legendary 71, Mineski defeated LGD in spectacular fashion, taking a page straight out of Newbie's playbook using their Naga Siren, but innovating with newly added heroes like Pangolier and a surprisingly effective Ag's Tusk. In an unprecedented return to form by Mineski, who secured their very first major win and the first major for the Southeast Asia region. Mineski also jumped from 9th to 4th in the Dpc rankings as a result of this historic win. Back to the minors now, and back to our up-and-coming teams. StarLadder I-League Season 5 was Optic's breakthrough event, showcasing the slowly improving team as they finally reached their peak and started looking like a Tier 1 squad. Their main competition at the tournament was VGJ Thunder, who had netted themselves 2 second-place victories in the DPC so far, while Optic had 0 points to their name. While the finals looked grim after a loss in Game 1, previously untested but now shining star 33 propelled Optic to victory, making a name for himself in the competitive world and skyrocketing PPD's squad to 13th place on the charts with this single win. The circuit then headed to Moscow for Epicenter, where the games were nearly as impressive as their amazing stage, and the newly rebranded PSG LGD showed their dominance for the first time since StarLadder I-League Season 4. They had a grudge match to settle with Team Liquid, and the time had finally come to get their revenge. It should have been a very long road to get that shot though, yet a little known but completely stellar team, Fly to the Moon, knocked out heavy hitters VP and Secret. Fly to the Moon's epic run came to a close as they barely lost to Liquid in the semis, culminating in an LGD versus Liquid grudge match for the grand finals. LGD's incredibly convincing victory moved them from 8th on the DPC rankings all the way up to 4th. The final minor of the DPC season was GESC Thailand. Much like GESC Indonesia, the minor was a fantastic chance for lesser-known teams, but unlike the first GESC, the team that everybody thought would win didn't even make it. Secret was surprisingly knocked out by Keen Gaming, and the stage was set for a new team to finally shock the world. That team was VGJ Storm. Recently bolstered by the addition of Resolution, after a tough group stage, VGJ Storm brought it to another level on the main stage, destroying the likes of Fnatic before taking the event, well, by storm. It was only their second appearance on the DPC, but how would they shape up at a major? Well, it's about time we found out. Next up was MDL Shangshan in China. It's time to see if VGJ Storm could compete with the biggest boys. The biggest boys of all were PSG LGD, who seemed unstoppable after winning the last major. Yet in the groups, 2 teams were able to defeat them, Dpc Gaming and, you guessed it, VGJ Storm. Storm proved to the world that their run at the minor was indeed no fluke, beating OG, Secret, and Vici, making it all the way to the grand finals. LGD, however, were not deterred. Whoever Storm sent down to them, LGD feasted on the scraps of that upper bracket with nearly perfect lower bracket runs. When it came time for the finals, LGD held no punches, decimating VGJ Storm to claim their second major. The first ever major in the UK, Esl One Birmingham was blessed with a thunderous roar from the crowd for pretty much every big play. The fans were delighted, but for teams, time was running out. They would fight tooth and nail for any of the precious DPC points left. But VP, they had other ideas. VP had won every single ESL major so far, and by God, they wanted a new car. VP didn't lose a single game at a major, crushing the hopes and dreams of every team that so desperately needed those points. No team needed those points more than Team Optic, who were 1 win away from qualifying for TI8. With VGJ Storm on their heels, Optic Gaming had one last chance. The final tournament, Super Major. The last tournament of the DPC season. We knew 7 out of the 8 teams going to the International already, but the question remained as who would be that one in the final slot. Optic Gaming, who had just placed 2nd at the last major, needed only to place 4th or better to steal the spot from VGJ Thunder. Things were looking up, but in the lower bracket, 1 game away from qualifying, it happened. Virtus Pro. Optic Gaming's kryptonite had done it again, and they would leave the tournament disappointed. That's not to say the rest of the tourney was disappointed for us, though, because the finals of the Super Major were a culmination of the DPC as a whole, with the top 4 teams in the DPC fighting it out in the finals for that last big win of the year. It was Liquid who took it all, with all top 4 teams still in peak condition and ready for the International. And that was the Dota 2 competitive season in a nutshell. So many stories, so many great memories, and so much amazing Dota. But the time, she's finally come. The entire year has been building up to this one moment. And while the first Dota 2 Pro Circuit is now just a beautiful memory, all eyes are on these teams as they make their journey over to Vancouver, hopeful to immortalize their legacy on the Aegis of Champions. A year's worth of blood, sweat, and tears for this one monumental moment. We hope that you guys will join us to see who will reign victorious at this year's International.